on the public's confidence in the governance and the presidency itself. Joining us now from Switzerland to give us his perspective is Brand Reputation Management Advisor, Solly Moeng. Good to have you once again, Solly. Seems every time you come on, this is what we're talking about, because our reputation is taking a beating. You look at CNN headlines, South Africa's leader could be sunk by a scandal over cash stuffed in a sofa at his Buffalo farm. You look at Bloomberg, what investors, analysts say about South Africa's president. President is considering resigning over a farm scandal report. Panel farm scandal may be grounds for his impeachment. You look at, what is this, Financial Times, Cyril Ramaphosa's presidency under threat after panel finds he abused his position. All this negative attention associated with this presidential scandal. Why does a presidential scandal retain the attention of the public more intensely, I suppose, than any other type of news coverage?
Hello, Thabo, and to your listeners, our spectators out there. Listen, Thabo, first of all, thank you. I'm very happy to be here. The president is the CEO of South Africa Inc., the destination brand. And all brands are led by somebody. There's got to be a vision where the brand is going. There's got to be leadership, a set of values. And you've got to be clear about what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. So the president, like the CEO of any company, would have a lot of focus on him or her, his conduct, her conduct, what she says, what he says, gets taken seriously. Now, when you lead a brand as complex as South Africa is, obviously, and a brand that's hurting, it's been hurting for a long time because of the African National Congress, of which is president. The social cohesion in South Africa is important. We come from a history of separatedness, of suspicion, of hurt. And we needed to have a president who could hold the society together. South Africans, we're not just talking about South Africans in the country. We're talking about South Africans who have left over the years and in recent years, who are away in the diaspora. Those people are not separated from South Africa. They might physically live elsewhere, but they continue to watch what's going on, because they have family, loved ones, friends who are in South Africa. They read the news. They want to be the best ambassadors of South Africa, but they can't be when South Africa keeps churning out negative news. And Ramaphosa, when he became president, there was so much hope that he would be the last hope. People call him the last hope for South Africa, actually. That he was the light that would bring, that would make away all the darkness that came under the Sumakoa way. But that light has lost its luster, its shine. And this is painful for many South Africans. Many South Africans want Ramaphosa to succeed. They have wanted him to be that man, and he's failed them. And that's where it hurts the most. And when it hurts people at home, it hurts people across, because those people at home talk to people outside South Africa.
So Ramaphosa has just returned home from his UK visit. He was with King Charles III. He was with the Prime Minister of the UK, Rishi Sunak. Before that, he was in the US, met with Joe Biden. I'm wondering, does this scandal have a strong influence in how those leaders now view him as a political leader?
Look, we mustn't pretend not to know or not to be aware that at all times in South Africa, there are representatives of foreign media, there are representatives like diplomats who are representing other countries, there are companies, global companies, representatives represented in South Africa. And all of these people who represent all of these bodies in South Africa always have to send country reports. So what is happening in South Africa? What are the prospects? What are the opportunities? What are the threats? Diplomats do that, media people do that, company representatives do that. So the people that Ramaphosa went to see in America, in the UK, wherever he goes, already knew. One would expect that they would have known already. They would have been given regular reports about this is what's going on in South Africa. This is what this man is in trouble for. But he's the president of the country. Until he's the president of the country, they have to deal with him, because especially if you look at Britain has exited from the EU. It needs to make as many friends as possible. Unfortunately, in the process, they end up making friends with people who are not necessarily ethically attractive. If you want, Ramaphosa is the president of South Africa. He went to the UK when he first became president, and he said to those leaders gathered there of the Commonwealth, I'm here to tell you that Nelson Mandela's South Africa is back. I still don't know what he meant by that, but obviously they have to be looking at South Africa from a perspective of what kind of leadership has it got. Ramaphosa is often referred to as the best of the West, which I think is true in some way, but if he goes away, I can't imagine anybody else in the African National Congress leading South Africa and representing South Africa in the global arena, and that is where it hurts the most. So so they know they have to deal with this man. They know that now that they know it's almost becoming confirmed that his longevity in power is almost going away. They have to be like, okay, whom are we going to deal with? But the people of South Africa also have to say, who's going to hold us together? You know, after Nelson Mandela, no leader has really placed sufficient emphasis on whatever happens, whatever we disagree with, we are together in this thing. We have to make the country work together. Ramaphosa probably came close, but not close enough. And him going away and with the prospect of a David Mabuza coming there, it's scary for a lot of people.
And what do you think has been the role of the media in terms of how they have covered the development of the Phala Phala farm gate?
Well, the media covers a story on the basis of information that's put out there. I mean, obviously, investigative media will try and go dig deeper, ask questions, but Ramaphosa has given his enemies all the stuff they could use against him. You know that he's been very reluctant to respond to questions. He's been playing doji this, doji that. He's playing almost the Stalingrad style of Zuma on this Phala Phala farm. It has not worked for him. So he has given all those people who really want to hurt him everything they needed to bring him down. So we're discussing a political problem and a legal problem. Obviously, legally he has not been charged. He can continue running until he's charged. But politically, his enemies are happy. You know, I listened to the gentleman, the one who was arrested for taking bribes, Tony Yengeni. I listened to Tony Yengeni earlier, and others were really excited. Obviously, Lindiwe Sisulu, all these people want him to leave. I mean, even people who are members of his cabinet right now don't have respect for him. They don't fear him. This is the first time that cabinet members speak so badly against the president in whose cabinet, at whose pleasure we say they serve. So he's lost respect, left, right, center, and forward. And it's not good for a leader. So he doesn't even have that moral high ground anymore to speak to the world, to speak to South Africans as a leader who can unify. Yeah.
What determines that? Because, I mean, there have been a lot of leaders internationally who've had a number of scandals. I mean, Boris Johnson, to name one, he was able to survive it for a while, but, of course, things got progressively bad. But does a scandal necessarily mean a diminished degree of confidence from people that the president is doing a good job, even his own cabinet?
You know what, I love that question. You see, when you compare South Africa to established democracies, where the institutions of democracy will churn you out. Look at Donald Trump. He tried to cheat the democracy last year. The systems, because it's a long-established democracy, the system eventually kicked him out. Boris Johnson knew that he would have to go at some point. But we are still young as a democracy in South Africa, so we still need to be nurtured. You know, we don't throw us in the air and think that we'll land on all fours. So South Africa still needs a leader who cares, who understands, who's not just leading for the party in power, but for the people of South Africa, who holds us as a nation together, who in his action, behavior, conduct makes us never forget that we are one nation. We have to make this country together. So it's important that the focus that is the focus that is placed on the president is deserved by the president, because he determines the mood of the country. South Africans really don't care who leads South Africa. They want a person who cares, who will hold the country together, respect the constitution, and not play as if they are above the law. So Ramaphosa has had all these expectations. People thought Zuma is gone. This man is coming in. Oh, there's hope for South Africa. And look at where we're at now. Now the country is waiting tonight for him to resign. Apparently, he might not resign. Now it's been postponed to tomorrow. But the fact is, losing hope in Ramaphosa for many people is almost like the last straw. So it is important what he does. When you become president of a country as diverse and as fragile at the same time as South Africa, you need a lot of emotional intelligence, balance, maturity, and Ramaphosa unfortunately lacked a lot of that.
Talking about that degree of confidence, does the Ramaphosa scandal have a systematic link in the confidence that people have in his party, the ANC?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, as I said, in the same way, there are two kinds of South Africans. There are people who obviously look at the ANC because it's the party that is the Makulu Bas of South African politics. They look at it outside of the ANC, but from the perspective of South Africa. There are also South Africans who are inside the ANC who look at the ANC from the perspective of the ANC. Now, obviously, we know the ANC is divided into two main factions, which is a pity also, which is a problem in its own, because he doesn't have the support. Even Zuma had a lot of support. Zuma was a lot more in trouble legally. Actually, that man almost committed crimes that could be argued to be treasonous. Ramaphosa did not. But Zuma, he held the party largely with him. Even Ramaphosa was deputy president, stuck with Zuma all the time. Ramaphosa doesn't have the fortune that Zuma had. He is leading a party that is divided, that's not able to stand as one behind him. And because the party is not able to stand as one, it's unable to make policy that's coherent. Political policy, economic policy for South Africa. So I've said from the beginning, Ramaphosa's enemies are in the party. If this man had to walk around looking over his shoulders, it's not while he runs on the promenade in Cape Town. It's when he walks the corridors of Letulu House, because that's where the enemies are. Those people who want him down are in the ANC, they're not in South Africa. South Africans, I still believe, by and large, still want this man to show them that somebody can hold this country together. And if he fails the broader South Africans, the ANC, of course, is failing, and there's nobody else in the ANC that many people can imagine holding, at least being the best of the worst, like Ramaphosa has been.
Solly Moeng, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on tonight. Brand Reputation Management Advisor there, Solly Moeng.